Okay, this is the third video for KwikLink, a build in public. Our goal is to end up making a thing like Linktree. Here's where we're at so far. Here's our back office with some of the social media websites. This is what we want the finished product to look like, something like this. This is a static page that I created. And we currently have absolutely nothing uploaded to the KwikLink.me website, but that will be part of our build in public. Here's our GitHub if you want to download it and start looking at the pages that we have done so far. And let's get started. Today what we're going to do is we're going to work on the user interface to get these fields done. By the way, this is the third video. The first video was the download of the Docker environment and setup of the Wizards Toolkit. That was very quick, 8 minutes. And then the second video was 2 hours of building these types of pages, and that was a live stream. So this one will be, I'll call it session 2, since the first one I called session 0. Alright, let's get started. One of the first things I want to do is I'm going to get rid of the multi-language option, and we'll add that later on as a phase 2, but I don't need that for phase 1. And we're also going to add in the fonts that I created for these, or the font awesome icons. Alright, and those are all located. I'm using Atom, by the way, right here. So we need to add those in here. We don't need the that, but we'll leave the owl theme. No, we won't. We'll get rid of that. The carousel we're not going to need for this website whatsoever. And let's do a search on English. And because we don't want to lose it forever, I'm going to just hide it, which is class equals hide and MaterializeCSS, which this is using. And also another thing that I don't like is how the welcome is bigger than the KwikLink. So let's just change that really quick while we're here. Alright. By the way, you see the ID Lang welcome? That is actually used by the multi-language option in Wizards Toolkit. So when you change it to Spanish, it'll say Bienvenido. Alright. There we go. Welcome to KwikLink. Okay, that still looks kind of weird. Let's move this here. Later on, I'll play with changing fonts and all that. But at least now we got rid of that part. And now let's move inside. The next thing I want to do is change the first name, last name. Although you usually want that for enterprise website that's tracking users, for KwikLink, it'll be a lot easier for people if we just have a single field for full name. So I want to do that. Let's go to I like to keep all of my SQL for tables and whatnot in a SQL file. Alright, WTK users, we'll call it full name, varchar 120 in case people want to put in a really long name for some reason. Default null. And we'll put this after last name. Alright. That's the container name, or the image name in the Docker container. Now if we look in here, we'll see that there's no full name, and then I'll add it. Oh, it says there is a full name. Let's look at that again. Oh, you know what? That's a PHP MindMin problem. Sometimes it runs the script twice, which is not a real problem. It just says you can't do it a second time. So there we have full name. Now, if we look at this page, we have first name, last name. The reason I decided to do that instead of just altering the first name and renaming it to full name is because if you do that, then you end up with any other page that you have that had first name would stop working. And we just don't want that. So this way I don't have to worry about reports and everything else breaking by just adding a new column instead of deleting it or renaming it. We'll get rid of that. In Wizards Toolkit, these default to M6 S12 on the grid, and you can change that. You can override it. But what I think would be ideal is full name and then title. And in Wizards Toolkit, it will automatically change this to full space name. It adds a space before every capital letter, except for the first one. So now, if we go back to profile, go back to edit, we have full name. All right, and then we have email. Let's get rid of the password. I don't think that for this particular application we want them to be updating the password on this page. But I think email and cell phone would be ideal in the second line, which the cell phone will automatically go up here because we're using standard grid, and therefore, oops, helps if I save it. That little dot means it hasn't been saved. All right. There we go. Email, cell phone, full name, Tech Wizard. All right. Now let's add a little more. Well, no, before I go further, let's make sure to update the card so it uses that instead of first name, last name. So we see here I had a coalesce on first name, coalesce on last name as username. So what I'll do is I'll just stop concatenating those. And it's always good to have a coalesce just in case the person's crazy. I don't need to do anything else since there won't be any other use of first name since I was already doing a as or an alias. That was easy. Now let's also look at the V card. I put everything in this subfolder because I plan on having htaccess make anything in the root folder redirect to card. So now here we need to look for first name, last name again. Let's do it like this. Get rid of the concat. And that should take care of that. Again, we're using an alias. And here we have, this creates a V card, which is a VCF file. And anybody who double clicks on it, it will add it to their address book, and then it will work for both iPhone, Mac, and Android. So it's a real nice little feature. This comes as part of the KwikLink. Feel free to pull it out of the repository and use it for your own needs. Okay. Next, let's add some description. This will be kind of the UIX session. So I'm going to go back to the user edit, and where it says, here we have the header message. Edit your profile. This is another Wizards Toolkit function, and it basically says if the person has chosen a different language like Spanish, then change it from edit your profile to the Spanish version. It's data driven because I find that's a better way of doing data or language translations than by using a API. This way you can set your own languages. In fact, here is the language table, and if it's no edit your profile, then it won't be in here. But here is edit your profile, and if we set this to Spanish, then we could put whatever we wanted here for the Spanish translation, and it would automatically translate it. But we're not going to deal with that at this time. Alright, but what I do want to do is, this all came standard with Wizard's Toolkit, so it has the edit your profile and edit profile in case you're allowing people to edit other people's profiles. We're not going to do that with this particular service. So I'm going to just delete all of this code. And that's the nice thing about low code. You can just delete it if you don't need it. I'll leave that. All right, edit your profile, and then let's put in, let's see, leave blank anything all right, nice little descriptive text. I don't like that spacing, so let's fix that. It's because of this BR. All right, what next do we want? Let's put this into a card and give some additional description. So that's right here. We'll move this to an HVAR. And we'll say all right. Card. Let's see. I like to include both simple English as well as a little bit of tech terms, partly to educate the general populace and partly so that programmers have an idea of what's going on. So this is only needed if you want to add it in your address book download. Allows people to easily add you to their address book. So only include the information you want them to have on you. Exclamation point. All right. And now we'll remove these two. And then after the address fields, which stops at state, okay, I like to align things even though they don't need to be, but this way I can make sure I don't ever screw something up. And that will close the row. All right. but then we need to reopen the row for the next one. And these add their own div with the column, so we don't need to redo that because the WTK form text will do that for us. And that's why we pass in things like M6 and S12 so that it knows the grid size that you want right there. Here you can see this is the column name. I reused this column because it was already in the data table, but this is the prompt that I wanted to use. And this is the helper text. So now let's go and look at that. Oh, ugly, ugly. All right. So, oh, here's the helper text I was talking about in the schedule meeting. And that's because, as I said, this is doing the call thing, and I forgot to put in a row. So, we'll go like this. This is why it's nice to have everything lined up. And then voila, works beautifully. I could add country as well, and maybe later on we'll remove state completely. We'll make it a entry field because this might be used by somebody in Canada, you know. And if we want to have the Canada, I have the Canada data. That's part of the default with Wizards Toolkit. If you look in here, under the setup data, we say Canada. It has all the Canada provinces, similar to how it has all the USA states, and it has all the countries. So I could easily do that, but then we have to do things like, if they choose the country of Canada, then show the drop list of Canada provinces instead of the USA states, and a bunch of other stuff which I just don't want to do right now, especially for this little demo. So we're going to just leave it as the USA states for the moment, and later on I might enhance that. Alright, next UI thing. Show address link, email, and locale. These are the column names. Maybe we should add a little more information regarding what this does. And let's shrink down this address information. Make that an H4 instead of an H2. Let's add extra space here. And I think that these should go below. Let's move these below here. Yeah. And since we have a HTML variable down here, let's move that down here too. And we see, hey, that's kind of redundant, so let's get rid of it. That's why it's nice to clean up your code every once in a while. All right. Let's give it another look. Full name, Tech Wizard. Address information. Leave blank anything. Okay, I like the size of this better. Nice. Show address link. Maybe we should put that up here. Yeah, that'd be more intuitive if we move this to within this. And we should put the show email next to the email. And we should explain what the show locale does. All right, let's do all that. So, maybe we should make it so that if they unclick this, it hides all of this. That'd probably be the most intuitive thing to do. All right, let's work on that first. So what I'm going to do, since these values for checkboxes are used by all of them, I'm going to move that above here. And then we'll move this in here. Now that will end up being right here, in which case, do we want it on its own line? Yeah, probably. You probably want it on its own line, even though it would easily fit here. For intuitiveness, it probably should be on its own line. So let's do that. And we'll make it a 6 just because. And let's move the show email to next to the email. But it has to be after the values, since we see the values are here. And that's so that when you're making a checkbox, it doesn't have to be yes or no. It can be anything you want. When it's checked, you type in yes, and then it will save yes. But I have it as a char1, so we'll make it a y. All right. Now, if we do that, the email is going to be over here. I think that might actually look fine. Let's try it. And what about the locale? Let's move that in here too. By checking the show locale, you will show the city and or state on your KwikLink card. All right. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's change this. We'll get rid of the M altogether since it gets the whole row. There we go. Okay, so now let's add the, no, now we don't need to hide the address information if the show locale is still available. This is only needed if you want to add, let's see, let's change this to check the, all right, let's do it like this. It's better to have things as a action-based description. Let's see, if you want viewers to see an option to download and import your contact info into their address book. Yeah, it's a little bit redundant, but so what? All right, and now let's put the quotes around show locale as well. That's left double quote, right double quote. All right, and there we have it. That's looking better already. So now, by the way, and here it is. Oh, notice I don't have a full name. Let's put that in there. I like demo name. Now, I like demo name. Nice. And if I change Fresno, Sacramento, there we go. And let's test the don't show, don't show, don't show. Now currently it's showing all of these, and now it's not. The my schedule is shown based on whether or not this exists. Alright, so everything's working really well. Alright, let's call that a video, and next time I'll work on the background colors. I didn't screen record it, but I have added a little more UI. I moved the primary photo into its own card and add a little description, and likewise with the background options, just so that we have a nice finished product. And here's the finished PHP code, where you see I just simply use the grid methodology in MaterializeCSS. And here I save the form file into a PHP variable and then drop it right where I want, so it looks real nice. That's how it looks. Alright, see you next time. Subscribe for more on the business of programming.